The brake pedal went to the floor. No resistance, just my foot sinking through air. I stopped the engine, pulled the parking brake, sat there. Grandpa's will reading was in 40 minutes. $1.2 million on paper. And my brakes just quit. I got out, grabbed my floor jack from the garage. The real one, not the emergency scissor jack. 20 pounds of steel Grandpa gave me with the car. Positioned it under the frame, pumped until the front wheel cleared concrete. 4 lug nuts off. Wheel dropped beside me. I slid underneath with my phone's flashlight. The brake line wasn't corroded. It was cut. Clean. Straight through the steel tube. Main line and flex hose, both severed. I pulled my phone out. 3 photos. Wide angle, close-up, my hand for scale. Then video. Front left brake line, cut clean. Today's the will reading. Car hasn't moved since Friday. Time is 8:22 a.m. Stopped recording. Backed out. The numbers lined up fast. Grandpa's estate, $1.2 million. House paid off in 1993. Retirement accounts from 40 years at Reed Electric and Contracting. Index funds he'd fed every month since selling the business in 2009. Primary beneficiary, me. He'd emailed the summary last month. Just so you're not blindsided, Daniel. Subject line. Estate planning. Read this. No greeting. Just numbers and account details. That was Grandpa. Facts over feelings. 2 weeks later, hospital, heart failure. Gone in 3 days. If I didn't show today, the secondary beneficiaries moved up. My dad had a key to this house. So did Kyle. For emergencies, Dad had said when I moved in. Apparently $1.2 million qualified. I walked inside, grabbed the spare key from the bowl, took a photo, opened my text thread with Dad. Last message. Don't be late Monday. Lawyer's time is expensive. I didn't reply. Not yet. Dialed the sheriff non-emergency line instead. Sheriff's office. Daniel Reed, someone cut my brake lines. I'm supposed to be at a will reading this morning. Over $1 million at stake. The people who knew about it have keys to my place. The boredom in her voice evaporated. Are you in danger? I'm in my driveway. Found it before I drove. Connecting you to Detective Harris. Click. Ring. This is Harris. Daniel Reed. Brake lines cut clean. Will reading today. Grandpa's estate is $1.2 million. I'm primary. Dad and brother are secondary. They both have keys. Found it when the pedal dropped. Haven't driven since Friday. 3 seconds of silence. Address? I gave it. You took photos? Photos and video, time-stamped. Don't touch anything else. Silver Camry, 10 minutes. Do you have security cameras? Doorbell cam, covers the driveway. We'll need that footage. Don't drive yourself anywhere. Get a rideshare. We'll follow you to the reading. Follow me? If someone tried to hurt you for money, I want to hear what they say when you walk in alive. He hung up. I opened Uber. Requested downtown. 1847, confirmed. Then I opened my doorbell camera app. Scrolled back to last night. 11:47 p.m. Nothing. 12:22 a.m. Nothing. 2:14 a.m. Motion detected. I hit play. The video was grainy in night vision mode. Green-tinted darkness. A figure walked up my driveway. Hoodie up. Face angled down. Stopped at my car. Looked around once. Crouched beside the front driver's wheel. Stayed there for 4 minutes. The timestamp ticked forward. 2:14, 2:15, 2:16, 2:17, 2:18. At 2:18, the figure stood. Walked back down the driveway. Turned right on the sidewalk. Out of frame. I rewound. Paused on the clearest shot. The hoodie. The build. The walk. I knew that walk. Kyle. My little brother who Dad always said, just needs guidance. My little brother who totaled his car sophomore year and Dad bought him a new one. Who I'd bailed out of a DUI 3 years ago because family helps family. That little brother just tried to destroy me. I saved the video. Exported it. Sent it to my email. 8 minutes later, silver Camry pulled up. 2 men in plain clothes. Daniel Reed? Yeah, badges on chains. I'm Harris. This is Ortiz. I showed them the car. Ortiz crouched, whistled. That's deliberate. Harris pulled gloves on. Took his own photos. When did you last drive? Friday night, straight home. Who has keys? Dad and brother Kyle. What are their stakes in the will? Dad gets 150K. Kyle gets 50K, both with conditions. I get about 900K plus Grandpa's house. Harris straightened. Big difference. My grandfather was specific about who earned what. Meaning? Meaning I helped him with the business when I was a kid. Worked summers doing estimates, ordering materials, basic bookkeeping. Kyle and Dad showed up for Christmas dinner and asked for loans. Ortiz stood. You said you have camera footage? I pulled up my phone, showed them the video. Harris watched it twice. Can you identify him? It's Kyle. I know his walk. That's his hoodie. He wore it to Thanksgiving. We'll need you to send this. I forwarded it right there. His phone pinged. Got it, Harris said. This changes things. We've got motive, opportunity, and now video placing him at the scene during the time frame. Blue Prius turned onto my street. My Uber. That's my ride. Harris nodded. We'll meet you downtown. What's the address? Jefferson and 6th, Parker Law Group, 9th floor. We'll be in the building. Won't announce ourselves. Just observe. Let your family talk freely. See what they say when their plan fails. I grabbed my backpack, locked the door, got in the Prius. The driver smelled like energy drinks and had pop music playing low. Downtown? Jefferson and 6th. He pulled away. I watched my house disappear in the side mirror. The Civic still on the jack. Evidence of something that almost worked. My phone buzzed. Kyle. You on your way or what? Dad's already downtown. I stared at the message. The same hands that typed this had held cable cutters 8 hours ago. Me. Yeah, be there. Kyle. Don't be weird about this. It's just paperwork. Just paperwork. The city passed by outside. Coffee shops opening, people walking dogs. Normal Monday morning for everyone but me. I thought about Grandpa, Edward Reed. Born 1948, dropped out of high school to work construction. Got his electrician's license at 19. Started Reed Electric in 1975 with a beat-up van and a toolbox. Built it into a 20-employee operation doing commercial contracts. Sold it in 2009 for $340K. Paid off his house, put the rest in boring index funds, lived modestly, drove a 1998 Tacoma until he passed away, shopped at Costco, cut his own hair. Compound interest and time, he'd told me once. That's the only magic that works. He'd paid for my community college when Dad said trade school was throwing money away. He'd co-signed my first car loan when Dad said I needed to learn financial responsibility on my own. He'd sent me his estate summary with one line at the bottom. You earned this. Don't let them convince you otherwise. I earned this. By showing up. By helping. By not asking for handouts every time life got inconvenient. Kyle had asked Grandpa for $15K to start a business 2 years ago. Grandpa said no. Kyle stopped visiting after that. Dad had asked Grandpa to invest in his buddy's real estate scheme last year. Grandpa said it was a scam. Dad called him paranoid and senile. They showed up for the funeral with tears and eulogies. I showed up for 30 years with a screwdriver and patience. Grandpa knew the difference. The Parker building rose ahead. 9 floors of dark glass and expensive hourly rates. My driver stopped at the curb. Here you go, man. I checked the app. $18.47. Added a $5 tip. My life was worth at least $23. Thanks. I stepped out into downtown wind. Zipped my jacket. Through the revolving doors, I saw the marble lobby, security desk, elevators, and on the far left, 2 men in plain clothes on a bench, phones out, looking like they were waiting for a lawyer appointment they definitely didn't have. Harris and Ortiz had beaten me here. I walked in. Security waved me through. Hit the elevator button for 9. Doors closed. My reflection stared back from polished steel. I looked tired, but steady. The kind of tired that comes from not sleeping because your family tried to murder you. Elevator opened on Parker Law Group. Glass doors. Dark wood. Wall of framed diplomas that probably cost more than my car. Dad sat in a leather chair near the window. Dark suit. Tie too bright for a funeral follow-up. Phone in hand. He looked up. Saw me. Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe. Disappointment, definitely. There he is, Dad said. Smiled. Starting to think you'd overslept. Kyle sprawled 2 seats over. Button-up shirt. Jeans that cost more than I made in a week. Scrolling like this was just another appointment. Traffic, I said. Neither of them asked what kind. Neither asked why I looked like I'd been under a car. Neither asked if everything was okay. They already knew the answer. You made it, Dad said. That's what matters. Punctuality is respect. Rich coming from a man who showed up to Grandpa's hospital bedside 3 days late. I sat in the only open chair, set my backpack down, pulled my phone out, opened voice memo, hit record, slid it back in my pocket. Small red bar at the top of the screen. Recording. The receptionist smiled from behind her desk. Mr. Parker will see you all shortly. Coffee or water? Dad waved her off without looking. We're fine. I wasn't fine, but I wasn't about to tell her that. Dad leaned toward me, lowered his voice. You read the summary your grandfather sent? I did. Good. Then you understand this is just formality. Real conversation happens after, about fair distribution. Fair, I repeated. Your brother has student loans, credit card debt. He's trying to start his life. Your mom has medical expenses from last year. We need to be realistic about who needs what. Kyle looked up from his phone. Grandpa was old school. Didn't understand modern financial pressure. We can fix this before it gets messy. Fix this. Like Grandpa's legally binding will was a typo. I thought about the brake line, the clean cuts. Kyle's hoodie in night vision green. We can talk about it, I said slowly, after we hear what Grandpa actually wrote. Dad smiled, relaxed back in his chair. That's reasonable. That's all I'm asking. Family should work together. Family should also not try to murder you for money. But I kept that thought to myself. The office door opened. Man in his late 50s stepped out. Gray hair, charcoal suit, glasses on a chain. The kind of lawyer who'd seen every version of family dysfunction and stopped being surprised 20 years ago. Gentlemen, he said. I'm Mark Parker. Thank you for being punctual. If you'll follow me, we'll begin. Dad stood first. Buttoned his jacket, straightened his tie. Kyle pocketed his phone. Stood with the casual confidence of someone who thought he'd already won. I grabbed my backpack, followed them. As I passed the frosted glass of the conference room next door, I caught 2 blurred shapes sitting perfectly still, waiting. Parker's conference room was exactly what you'd expect from a law firm that charged $400 an hour. Long mahogany table, leather chairs, 3 spots on our side. One at the head for Parker. A neat stack of papers sat in front of his chair. Gold seal visible on the top envelope. Grandpa's will. Dad took the middle seat. Power position. Kyle dropped into the chair on his right. I sat left. Set my backpack at my feet. Parker closed the door. The click echoed louder than it should have. Before we begin, Parker said, sitting down, folding his hands on the table, I want to remind everyone that this is a formal reading of Edward James Reed's last will and testament. This document was drafted, witnessed, and notarized according to state law. It was updated most recently 6 months ago. My role is to execute Mr. Reed's wishes exactly as written, not to arbitrate family disputes. Dad nodded. Of course, we're all here to honor Dad's intentions. His intentions are explicit, Parker said. Held Dad's gaze just long enough to make a point. He picked up the envelope, broke the gold seal, unfolded the first page. Outside in the hallway, I heard a door open softly. Footsteps. Another door closing. Dad didn't notice. Kyle was staring at the papers like he could read through them. Neither of them knew 2 detectives were now in the room next door. Neither of them knew I had video of Kyle at my car at 2:14 a.m. Neither of them knew their plan had already fallen apart. Parker cleared his throat. The last will and testament of Edward James Reed, executed on March 15, 2024. Dad's smile grew. Kyle leaned forward. I leaned back and waited for their world to break. Parker adjusted his glasses. To my grandson, Daniel Edward Reed, I leave the property at 847 Maple Grove Drive, valued at approximately $300,000. Additionally, $900,000 held in trust, accessible upon proof of financial competency or age 30. I was 29, 6 months away, Parker continued. To my son, Robert Allen Reed, I leave $150,000, held in trust for 2 years, provided no criminal charges related to this estate are filed against him or his immediate family. If such charges occur, this bequest is void. Dad's face went red. To Kyle Robert Reed, $50,000, held for 5 years, contingent on maintaining no criminal record and no debts exceeding $10,000. Kyle stopped breathing. Parker set the paper down. Are there questions? Dad's jaw was clenched. My father was 81. Are we certain he was competent? Dr. Patricia Chen evaluated him 6 months ago. I met with him 3 times to review these terms. He understood exactly what he was doing. Kyle found his voice. This is insane. He's giving Daniel everything. Are you a criminal? I asked. Everyone looked at me. Because if you're not, the conditions shouldn't matter. Kyle's face went purple. You smug. Dad cut him off. We need a minute. Parker nodded. I'll step out. He left. 3 seconds of silence. Then I pulled out my phone. Showed Dad the photo of my brake line. Someone cut my brakes this morning. Dad stared. Your car is old. Things break. Brake lines don't cut themselves. And the police have video of someone at my car at 2:14 a.m. Kyle went pale. Detective Harris is investigating, I continued. If charges are filed, the estate clause activates. Dad stood. Kyle, we're leaving. Mr. Parker asked, I don't care. They left. I sat in the quiet conference room. My phone buzzed. Harris. Footage confirmed. Getting warrant. Stay safe. I walked out 20 minutes later into midday sun. No family waiting. No one to celebrate with. Just me and an inheritance I'd earned by showing up. I stopped at a hardware store on the way home. Bought a deadbolt. $47. Installed it myself that afternoon. 20 minutes with a drill and screwdriver. The old lock went in the trash. No more spare keys for emergencies. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Kyle. Age 7. Following me around the backyard. Age 14. Asking for homework help. Age 21. Calling me crying after the DUI. My little brother, who cut my brake lines. I got up at 2 a.m., made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, opened my laptop. Googled, Kyle Reed restraining order. Took 3 tries with different search terms. Then I found it. Court records. 2020. Amanda Price versus Kyle Robert Reed. Petition for protection from stalking. I clicked through to the case summary. Public record. Respondent contacted petitioner 47 times in 3 days after relationship ended. Appeared at petitioner's workplace. Sent threatening messages. Petitioner fears for safety. Disposition. Restraining order granted. 1 year. Settlement, case dismissed. Confidential agreement. Dad had paid her off. I saved the PDF to my desktop. Searched again. Kyle Reed, DUI 2022. Found the arrest record. Blood alcohol, 115, nearly twice the limit. Traffic stop at 1:47 a.m. Failed field sobriety test. Then, motion to suppress evidence. Traffic stop ruled unlawful, case dismissed. Dad's lawyer. $15,000 in legal fees, according to the public docket. I leaned back. 3 incidents. 3 times Kyle crossed lines. 3 times Dad made it disappear. And I'd almost been number 4. The next morning, my doorbell rang. I checked my phone. New camera feed. Marcus stood on my porch, hands in pockets. I opened the door. Hey, hey, can I come in? We sat in my living room. I heard about Kyle, Marcus said. The brake lines. Yeah, I should have told you years ago about my car. I waited. It wasn't an accident. We'd argued at Grandma's funeral about her jewelry. I said Kyle didn't deserve anything because he never visited. 2 days later, my car burned. You're sure? Neighbors saw someone that night. Described Kyle's car, but no proof. Dad convinced me to drop it. Family doesn't press charges against family. Did Grandpa know? Marcus nodded. He asked me about it last year. I told him everything. He said he was taking steps to protect you. The will, the conditions, the criminal clause. Grandpa had been collecting evidence. Will you testify if this goes to trial? Already told the detective I would. After Marcus left, I sat alone. Then I did something I'd been avoiding. Drove to Grandpa's house. The key was still under the third porch plank, right where he'd always kept it. I let myself in. The house smelled like coffee and wood polish, like every Sunday I'd spent here growing up. Mail piled on the table, bills, junk, a magazine about index funds. I walked through slowly. Kitchen, clean. Dishes put away. Coffee maker, unplugged. Living room, his chair, the remote on the armrest. TV guide from 2 months ago. Bedroom, bed made. Closet organized by color. Shoes lined up. He'd been ready. Knew he was dying. Put everything in order. I found the file cabinet in his office. Second drawer. Labeled estate planning. Inside, copies of the will. Bank statements, investment records, and a folder labeled Daniel. I opened it. Inside, every birthday card I'd ever sent him. Every thank you note. Photos of us working together on jobs. A letter. Dated 6 months ago. I unfolded it. Daniel, if you're reading this, things got messy. Your dad is weak. Kyle is dangerous. I'm leaving you the bulk because you earned it by showing up. They'll pressure you. They'll say I was senile. Don't believe it. The conditions aren't punishment. They're protection. If they come after you, they lose everything. Stay strong. Remember, people show you who they are when money's on the line. Grandpa. I read it 3 times. Then I photographed it. Saved it to my phone. Put the original back in the folder. Spent the next 2 hours going through his documents. Everything was organized, color-coded, cross-referenced. The man had prepared for war. I found another folder. Kyle Robert Reed. Inside, printed articles about the restraining order. The DUI case summary. Insurance investigators' report about Marcus's car. Grandpa had documented everything. He'd known. For years, I was loading files into my car when a white SUV pulled up. Dad. He got out slowly, saw me, stopped. What are you doing here? Grandpa's executor asked me to secure documents. A lie, but clean. Dad looked at the boxes in my trunk. Find anything interesting? Tax records, investment statements, normal estate stuff. Nothing about Kyle? I met his eyes. Should there be? He stared at me, trying to figure out what I knew. You're making a mistake, he said finally. Family protects family. Family doesn't try to destroy the family for inheritance money. He panicked. He wasn't thinking clearly. He bought cable cutters 2 days in advance. That's premeditation. Dad stepped closer. You really want to destroy him? He's 26. Prison will ruin his life. He tried to ruin mine. But you're fine. No one got hurt. Because I found it in time. Silence stretched between us. I'm asking you, Dad said quietly. Drop the charges. We'll handle this privately. How? Like you handled Amanda? Like you handled Marcus's car? Like you handled the DUI? His face changed. You've been digging. Grandpa did the digging. I just found his files. He was a bitter old man who didn't understand. He understood perfectly. That's why he wrote the will the way he did. Dad's hands clenched. You're choosing money over family. I'm choosing consequences over enabling. He turned, walked back to his SUV, stopped halfway. This isn't over. He drove away. I finished loading the boxes, locked Grandpa's house, drove home. Spent that evening organizing everything on my dining table. Bank statements here, investment records there, Kyle's folder separate. My phone buzzed. Harris. Got the warrant. Found cable cutters in his garage. Metal shavings match. DA filing charges tomorrow. Me. What kind of charges? Harris. Attempted vehicular manslaughter. Tampering with vehicle. He's looking at 8 to 20 years depending on plea. I set the phone down. Stared at the documents spread across my table. Evidence of a life built carefully. Evidence of a brother who'd been enabled his whole life. Evidence of a grandfather who'd seen it all coming. My phone lit up again. Family group chat. Mom, please call me. We need to talk about this as a family. Dad, you're tearing us apart. Kyle, I'm sorry, please. I wasn't thinking. Don't do this. I muted the chat. Then I did something I'd been thinking about for hours. Opened my banking app. Called the mortgage company Grandpa had used. I'd like to get pre-approved for a home loan. The woman on the phone was cheerful. Wonderful. Do you have a down payment saved? Yes. And I'll have additional funds available within 90 days. Perfect. Let me transfer you to a loan officer. 20 minutes later, I was pre-approved for $400,000. Combined with the trust fund, I could buy something outright. No mortgage, no debt, just freedom. I spent the next week looking at properties online. Nothing fancy, just 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, garage for a workshop. Far enough from the city that family wouldn't drop by. Close enough that Marcus could visit. I found one on Thursday. Small house, acre of land. Needed work but solid bones. Scheduled a viewing for Saturday. Friday afternoon, Kyle was arrested. I watched the local news website. Booking photo. Charges listed. Bail set at $75,000. Dad paid it within 2 hours. My phone exploded with texts from relatives I hadn't talked to in years. Aunt Linda. Shame on you. Uncle Mike. Family helps family. Cousin Jennifer. You're really sending him to prison over a car? Over a car. Like attempted murder was a parking ticket. I blocked them all. That night, I sat on my back porch. Looked at the stars. Thought about Grandpa. Who'd worked 40 years to build something. Who'd taught me that showing up matters. Who'd protected me even after he was gone. My phone buzzed. Real estate agent. Seller accepted your offer. Inspection scheduled Monday. I smiled. For the first time in a week. Not because Kyle was arrested. Not because I was getting money. Because I was building something that couldn't be taken away. Something I'd earned. By showing up when no one else did. The house inspection happened on a gray Monday morning. 3-bedroom ranch, brick exterior, detached garage that could fit a full workshop. The inspector was a guy in his 60s named Tom, who wore a headlamp and talked to himself while he worked. I followed him through every room. Foundation's solid, he muttered, tapping the basement walls. Roof's got 5 years left. Water heater's new. Furnace is older but maintained. He opened the breaker box, examined every switch. You know electrical? He asked. Yeah, I'm an HVAC tech. Do some electrical on the side. He nodded. Then you'll appreciate this. Previous owner was an electrician. Wiring's perfect. Labeled, color-coded. Guy knew what he was doing. Something about that felt right. Like Grandpa had picked this house for me before I even knew I needed it. Tom finished 2 hours later. It's clean, maybe repaint. New flooring in the kitchen. But structurally, this place will outlast you. I signed the final offer that afternoon. Closing date, 3 weeks. That night, I started packing. Not much to move. I'd been renting a 1-bedroom for years. Kept things minimal. Filled 6 boxes with tools, 3 with clothes, 1 with kitchen stuff. Everything I owned fit in my truck bed. I was taping the last box when my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. A woman. Mid-30s, Blonde hair, nervous posture. I didn't recognize her. Opened the door halfway. Can I help you? Are you Daniel Reed? Yeah. She hesitated. I'm Amanda Price. My stomach dropped. I saw the news, she continued quickly. About Kyle, the arrest. I needed to see if you were okay. I stepped onto the porch, closed the door behind me. How'd you find me? Court records, from the estate filing. I'm sorry. I know this is weird. She looked scared, like she'd spent the whole drive here convincing herself to knock. You don't owe me anything, I said. The restraining order. That was years ago. 4 years. But I still think about it. Silence. He sent me 47 messages in 3 days, she said quietly. Showed up at my work twice. Called my parents' house. I thought he was going to destroy me. Did he? No, but I felt like he was always watching, waiting. Your dad's lawyer offered me $10,000 to drop it. Said Kyle just needed help. That family was handling it. They paid you to disappear. Yeah. And I took it because I was scared. But I've always felt like I should have done more. Like maybe if I'd pressed charges, he wouldn't have... She trailed off. Wouldn't have tried to hurt his brother? I finished. She nodded. This isn't your fault, I said. You did what you had to do. He's the one who kept escalating. The detective called me, asked if I'd testify. Will you? I don't know. I'm married now. I have a daughter. I don't want her growing up knowing her mom was part of some family revenge story. It's not revenge. It's consequences. She looked at me for a long moment. He used to talk about you. Said you were the one everyone compared him to. The responsible one. The one who never messed up. I'm not perfect. But you didn't cut someone's brake lines. Fair point. She handed me a folded piece of paper. That's my number. If the detective needs me, I'll do it. But I need to think about it. She left. I went inside. Unfolded the paper, phone number, and a note. I'm sorry this happened to you. He should have been stopped years ago. I set it on the counter. Stared at it for 10 minutes. Then I called Harris. Amanda Price just showed up at my house. She what? Came by, said you called her about testifying. I did. But I told her to think about it, not go find you. She wanted to make sure I was okay, and she said she'll testify if we need her. Harris was quiet for a moment. That changes things. If she's willing to establish pattern of behavior, the DA can push for maximum sentence. How long? 20 years. Kyle wouldn't see parole for 15. 15 years. Kyle would be 41. I'd be 44. By the time he got out, I'd have lived an entire different life. His lawyer's pushing for a plea deal, Harris continued. 8 years. Out in 5 with good behavior. DA wants to meet with you before deciding. Why me? Because you're the victim. Your input matters. I hung up, sat on my couch. Thought about Kyle at 7, 10, 15. Thought about Amanda, Marcus, the DUI. Thought about Grandpa's letter. People show you who they are when money's on the line. Kyle had shown me. 3 days later, I was at Home Depot buying drywall compound when I heard it. I heard he's being vindictive, using the legal system to punish family. I turned. 2 women. One was my Aunt Carol, Mom's sister. The other was someone I didn't recognize. They were standing 1 aisle over. Didn't see me. He could drop the charges, Aunt Carol continued, but he's choosing to destroy Kyle over a mistake. That's horrible, the other woman said. Daniel was always cold, even as a kid. Never wanted to be part of family events. I stood there, drywall compound in hand. Cold. Because I didn't show up to events where I was treated like an afterthought. Because I didn't loan money I'd never see again. Because I didn't let my brother destroy me for inheritance money. I walked past them. Didn't say a word. Checked out. Loaded my truck. Drove to the new house. It was empty. Closing was still 2 weeks away, but the inspector had given me keys to do a final walkthrough. I let myself in. Stood in the living room. Bare walls. scratched floors, outdated light fixtures, but it was mine. I walked to the garage, opened the door. Two-car space, concrete floor, pegboard wall, workbench built into the corner. I could see it already. Tools organized, projects in progress, space to build things, space to fix things, space that no one could take away. I spent the next hour measuring, planning, photographing. When I left, the sun was setting. My phone buzzed. Marcus. Beer Friday? My place? Me. Yeah, I'll bring food. First social plan in 2 weeks. That Friday, I showed up at Marcus's apartment with pizza and a six-pack. We ate, watched a game. Didn't talk about Kyle or the trial or any of it. Just normal cousin stuff. Halfway through the second beer, Marcus asked, "How you holding up?" "Okay, bought a house." "For real?" "Closing in 2 weeks." "That's huge, man." "Where?" I told him. He pulled it up on his phone. "Nice, quiet street, good bones." "Needs work, but I've got time." "Need help moving?" "Honestly, yeah. I'm in, just tell me when." We finished the game. I drove home. For the first time in weeks, I felt like something was normal, like not everything was collapsing. The next morning, someone pounded on my door. Not a knock. A pound. I checked the camera. Uncle Mike, Aunt Carol, another aunt I barely recognized. Extended family. The reinforcements. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. "We need to talk," Uncle Mike said. "About?" "About what you're doing to this family." "I'm not doing anything. Kyle cut my brake lines." "He made a mistake," Aunt Carol said. "A stupid mistake. But you're taking this too far. Attempted murder isn't a mistake. He's your brother. And I'm his attempted victim." Uncle Mike stepped forward. "You have a choice here. Drop the charges. Let the family handle this privately. We'll make sure he gets help. Like you made sure after the restraining order? After Marcus's car? After the DUI?" They all blinked. "I know about all of it," I continued. "Grandpa documented everything." Aunt Carol's face went red. "Your grandfather was a bitter old man who played favorites. He protected the people who showed up. The rest of you just wanted handouts." "That's not fair," she said. "Neither is attempted murder." Uncle Mike pointed at me. "You're being selfish. You got the money. You got the house. Let Kyle have his life. He tried to take mine. But you're fine." I stared at him. "I'm fine because I found the brake cuts before I drove. If I'd pulled out of the driveway, I'd be dead. And you'd all be at my funeral pretending you cared." Silence. "We're done here," I said. I closed the door, locked it, stood in my entryway while they yelled from the porch for 3 minutes. Then they left. I sat on my couch, hands shaking. Not from fear, from anger. They didn't care that I almost injured myself. They cared that I was making it inconvenient for them. My phone rang. "Mom." I let it go to voicemail. Listened to it 5 minutes later. "Daniel, this has gone too far. Kyle's lawyer wants to make a deal. 8 years. But he won't take it unless you agree to a victim impact statement that supports leniency. You need to do this. He's your brother. Please." I deleted it. That afternoon, I met with the DA. Her name was Patricia Simmons. Late 40s. Sharp eyes. No-nonsense energy. "Kyle's attorney offered a plea," she said. "Guilty to attempted vehicular manslaughter. 8 years. Out in 5. What if we go to trial? We'd push for attempted murder, 20 years minimum, but trials are risky. Juries are unpredictable. What do you recommend?" Honestly, the plea is solid. It guarantees conviction. It guarantees time. And it means you don't have to testify. Do you need Amanda? Not if he pleads guilty. Her testimony would be for sentencing enhancement if we went to trial. I thought about it. 5 years guaranteed. Versus the risk of a jury letting him off. What do you need from me? A victim impact statement. You can ask for leniency or maximum sentence. It's up to you. When? Sentencing hearing is in 2 weeks. Same day as your house closing, actually. Of course it was. "I'll do it," I said. "But I'm not asking for leniency. She nodded. Understood. I left her office, drove to the new house, walked through the empty rooms, thought about what I'd say at sentencing, thought about Grandpa, who'd taught me that consequences matter, thought about Kyle, who'd never faced them. I pulled out my phone, opened notes, started writing. Your Honor, my name is Daniel Reed. I wrote for an hour, deleted half of it, rewrote it. By the time I left, I had 3 paragraphs. Cold, clear, true. No anger, no begging. Just facts. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. Not because Kyle was going to prison, but because I'd finally stopped carrying the weight of everyone else's choices. They made their decisions. Now they'd live with them. And so would I. The sentencing hearing was at 9 a.m. House closing was at 11. I wore the same suit to both. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, 20 rows of benches. Kyle sat at the defense table. Orange jumpsuit. Hands cuffed. Thinner than I remembered. He didn't look at me when I walked in. Dad sat 3 rows back. Mom beside him. Jenna. A few aunts and uncles. Marcus sat on my side of the aisle. Alone. The judge was a woman in her 60s. Silver hair, reading glasses. Mr. Reed, you've pleaded guilty to attempted vehicular manslaughter and tampering with a motor vehicle. Before I impose sentence, I'll hear from the victim. The DA nodded at me. I stood, walked to the podium, unfolded my statement. Your Honor, my name is Daniel Reed. On November 18th, I discovered my brake lines had been cut. If I hadn't found them before driving, I would have crashed. Possibly died. The person who did this was my younger brother, Kyle Reed. For years, my family covered for Kyle's behavior. A restraining order, property damage, a DUI. Each time, my father paid to make the consequences disappear. Kyle learned that actions don't have consequences if you have the right connections. He was wrong. I'm not asking for leniency. I'm asking for accountability. 8 years is appropriate. Not because I'm angry, but because someone who tries to destroy their brother for inheritance money needs to understand that actions matter. Thank you. I folded the paper, walked back to my seat. Kyle's lawyer stood next. Talked about Kyle's remorse, his potential, his young children. The judge listened without expression. Then she spoke. Mr. Reed, you committed a calculated act of violence against a family member for financial gain. The only reason your brother is alive is because he's competent enough to inspect his own vehicle. You'll serve 8 years in state prison, eligible for parole after 5 years with good behavior. Bailiff. Kyle stood, looked back at Dad. Dad's face was stone. They led Kyle out. I walked out of the courtroom into bright hallway light. Marcus caught up with me. You okay? Yeah. That was cold. It was true. I know. That's why it worked. We walked outside. Mom was standing by the courthouse steps. She looked smaller somehow. Older. Daniel, I stopped. Are you happy now? She asked. He's going to prison. I'm not happy, I'm just done. Done with what? With covering, with enabling, with pretending that family means protecting people from consequences. He's your brother. And I'm the person he tried to destroy. She opened her mouth, closed it. Nothing came out. I walked to my truck. Marcus followed. House closing in 90 minutes, I said. Want to come? Hell yeah. We stopped at a drive-thru, got coffee and breakfast sandwiches, ate them in the title company parking lot. You nervous? Marcus asked. About what? Buying a house, that's huge. I'm more nervous about the sentencing. That's done now. Yeah. We finished eating, walked inside. The closing took 45 minutes, signed 20 documents, initialed 50 places. The title agent handed me the keys. Congratulations, you're officially a homeowner. I stared at the keys. Small? Metal? Mine? Marcus grinned. Let's go see it. We drove to the house, pulled into the driveway. Empty. Quiet. Waiting. I unlocked the front door, stepped inside. Welcome home, man, Marcus said. We walked through every room. I showed him where I'd put furniture, where I'd repaint, the garage that would become a workshop. When you moving in? He asked. This weekend. I'm already packed. Need help? Yeah. Pizza and beer after? Deal. That Saturday, we loaded my truck. 6 boxes of tools, 3 boxes of clothes, kitchen stuff. A couch Marcus helped me carry down the stairs. Everything fit in 2 trips. By noon, I was unloading in my new driveway. Marcus carried boxes. I directed traffic. Tools in the garage, clothes in the bedroom, kitchen stuff in the kitchen. You're a natural decorator, Marcus said. We worked for 3 hours, set up my bed, assembled a cheap table, hung my TV. By 3 p.m., the place looked livable. Marcus cracked open the beers I'd put in the fridge that morning. We sat on my back porch, looked out at the yard. Grass needed mowing, fence needed painting, trees needed trimming. It's perfect, Marcus said. It's a mess. Yeah, but it's your mess. We drank in silence. You hear from your parents? He asked eventually. No, you? My dad called, said I was taking sides. You are? Yeah, the right side. I smiled. We finished our beers. Ate pizza on paper plates because I hadn't unpacked dishes yet. Marcus left around 7. I stood in my living room. Empty except for a couch and a TV. No family photos. No decorations. Nothing. Just space. And quiet. I slept on a mattress on the floor that night. Best sleep I'd had in months. The next week, I started building the workshop, cleaned out the garage, swept 20 years of dust, mounted pegboard on the walls, hung Grandpa's tools, screwdrivers organized by size, wrenches in order, electrical tape, wire strippers. His toolbox sat on the workbench. Red metal. Dented. His initials scratched into the side. I opened it. Found the letter again. Stay strong. People show you who they are when money's on the line. I folded it carefully, put it back, closed the toolbox. Then I got to work. Over the next month, I repainted 3 rooms, replaced the kitchen floor, fixed leaky faucets, installed new light fixtures. Every night after work, I came home and built something. Not because I had to, because I wanted to. Marcus came by twice, helped me install shelving, drank beer after. We didn't talk about Kyle or the trial or any of it. Just worked, laughed, normal stuff. One afternoon, I was mowing the lawn when a white SUV drove past. Slowly. Dad. He didn't stop, didn't wave, just looked at the house, then kept driving. I finished mowing. Didn't think about it again. 3 months after sentencing, I got a letter. Prison postmark. Kyle's handwriting. I stared at it for 10 minutes. Threw it away unopened. Whatever he wanted to say didn't matter anymore. 4 months in, I met my neighbors. Older couple, retired teachers. They brought over cookies. Welcome to the neighborhood. We're Linda and Robert. Daniel, thanks for these. If you need anything, we're 2 houses down. Robert used to teach shop class. He's got every tool known to man. I might take you up on that. They became the kind of neighbors Grandpa would have liked. Quiet, helpful, minded their own business but showed up when it mattered. Linda brought me leftover casserole twice. Robert helped me rebuild the front porch steps. They never asked about family or where I came from. Just accepted me as the guy who fixed things and mowed his lawn on Saturdays. 6 months after moving in, I hosted Marcus for a backyard cookout. Nothing fancy. Just burgers and beers and a fire pit I'd built from cinder blocks. We sat in lawn chairs, watched the fire. You happy? Marcus asked. I thought about it. Yeah, I think so. Even with everything? Especially with everything. That's cold, man. It's honest, he laughed. Fair. We sat in silence. You think you'll ever talk to them again? Marcus asked. Your parents? Maybe, if they apologize, if they acknowledge what happened, but I'm not holding my breath. What about Kyle, when he gets out? I don't know, that's 5 years away. I'll be 34. Different person by then. You think he'll be different? Probably not. Marcus nodded. Then you already know. The fire crackled. Stars came out. I thought about Grandpa, who'd built a life from nothing, who'd taught me that compound interest and time were the only magic that worked, who'd protected me even after he was gone. I thought about the toolbox in my garage, the workshop I'd built, the house I owned outright, the money in the bank that no one could take, the freedom to say no. Marcus left around midnight. I cleaned up, hosed down the fire pit, stood in my backyard, my house behind me, my workshop full of tools, my life on my terms. Alone, but not lonely. Free, but not aimless. I'd lost a family, but I'd built a life. And that was a fair trade. I walked inside, locked the door, sat at my kitchen table with a beer and my laptop, checked my investment account. 947,293, up from $800,000 7 months ago. Compound interest in time. Grandpa's voice in my head. That's the only magic that works. I closed the laptop, looked around my kitchen, bare walls, cheap table, mismatched chairs, but mine. Every inch earned by showing up, by refusing to cover for people who wouldn't change, by choosing consequences over comfort. I finished my beer, washed the bottle, put it in the recycling. Then I walked to my workshop, opened Grandpa's toolbox, pulled out his old wrench, held it for a moment. Then I got to work on a project I'd been planning for weeks, building a bookshelf for the living room. Not because I needed it, but because building things was what we did, and I had all the time in the world. The house was quiet except for the sound of sawing. No family calling, no drama, no emergencies. Just me and a piece of wood, becoming something better, one cut at a time.